Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. It's gonna be a tough one today, man. Hacks, JAILCAST, chalk it up. You know that
Happy
meme?
Friday, right?
Exactly. You know that meme? It's like zero hacks in DeFi, or like the Simpsons thing where they've got the counter, zero number of days since the last hack in DeFi. Well, yesterday. Well, we don't know if it's a hack yet. So, multi-chain, which is a bridge that connects a lot of different blockchains, experienced a quote unquote unexplained outflow of assets worth over $120 million, which is pretty rough because they were hacked not that long ago, right? So in 2022, the hackers stole about $2 billion from crypto bridges, and multi-chain was one of the bigger ones, I think. Pretty big. And since that time period, multi-chain's been under a lot of duress. So in May, they had announced that they had been able to contact their CEO, Zhao Jun, for necessary server access for maintenance. And there had been some questions about what that actually was going to lead to, because if your primary key holder is not around to just come in and do basic server access or even get to the keys of all of these assets, you're pretty screwed. And if somebody captured the guy, and I don't know, there's no idea who took all these funds. So it's a bit all up in the air. Multichain reported on Twitter yesterday that the lockup assets on the multi-chain MPC address had been moved to an unknown address abnormally. Yes. The team wasn't sure what was going on, and they're currently investigating. And they advised everyone to suspend the use of multi-chain services and revoke all contract approvals related to multi-chain.
I sincerely hope everyone had already done this about a month ago when the rumors started flying that the multi-chain founder, who knows what happened to him. It's just too much, all these bridges. Like, I don't use a lot of L2s, and this is part of the reason why. Like, these bridges between chains, this keeps happening.
Yeah, this one was telegraphed, though. We talked about this a while ago, I think last month, about how multi-chain was having issues. The CEO was gone. Like, I don't know why anybody would keep any assets there. Like, bridges will continue to be and are the number one target for hacks, because they're just these like giant honeypots that allow for huge amounts of money to be stored. So just bringing up some pictures here. I'm no, it's small, but I'll read through these. So the largest hacks, right? The Ronin Network Bridge for $624 million went to North Korea. Poly Network Bridge, $600 million back in 2021. BNB Bridge, $580 million, right? Wormhole Bridge, $326 million. Like, all the biggest hacks in the space are all bridges. And
Yeah. When the feds like sit there and like say that like cryptocurrency is just funneling funds to North Korea, like, I'm starting to believe it. Like, I'm starting to feel dirty about everything that's going on here. Now, for those of the viewers or listeners out there that don't understand why it is that bridges are these targets for hacks, it's basically because, like, when you're sending funds from one chain to the next, funds don't just like magically transport. The funds go to one chain and just sit there, and then on the new chain, like a equivalent token is minted on that new chain. But the funds are still locked up somewhere, and that's what the target of the hack is, because if you're bridging back, that can be released somehow. So if you can figure out the magical code that releases it, you're able to get the money to yourself. Again, we don't know that that's what's going on with this multi-chain one, but the target of previous bridge hacks, like, it's there's a reason that bridges get targeted.
Yes, and I don't know. I mean, this one was really well telegraphed. I mean, if you had time to get your money out, we talked about it here.
Yeah. Yeah, I had like a very small BPC that thankfully I got out a long time ago. Now, a lot of Curve, it's not like there's no like funds at risk with the Curve infrastructure, but Curve had used multi-chain previously for like moving governance boosts across chain. So that's going to like take at least a few weeks or something before the curve devs were able to get that figured out. But Sam, why don't you tell us about Frax Ferry a little bit and how Frax is able to make this, knock on wood, more secure?
I don't want to get into this too much because we don't want to turn this into a Frax podcast. But Crypto Worm did say that Frax Ferry, he used it yesterday for the first time, and so Frax Ferry was a response to the Harmony hack, which happened in last year. Frax had significant losses from that, but the team was able to work quickly to ensure that the funds couldn't come back. The thing about the bridges is that they're instant liquidity venues, where you get the money, it's gone, right? You can take it to any chain and then swap it out and then move it into ETH and put it in Tornado Cash, and it's gone. And it can be done in one transaction or two transactions. There's really no way to stop it. So in the aftermath of this, Frax came to the conclusion that the only way to stop these sorts of hacks was to put a 24-hour time lock on top of the bridges. So when you move any Frax assets around from ETH to Arbitrum or anywhere really, you have to wait 24 hours. And so while it sucks as a user to have to wait that long, because in crypto we just want everything done instantly, it's the only way that the protocol can protect itself. So yesterday there was funds that were in Moonriver, which the hacker got access to, a part of Frax, so some FXS and Frax, but you can't do anything with it. Those funds are just stuck on that network, and that malicious attacker can't take them back because it would have to sit in time lock, and then the DAO could figure out what to do with it before it got back to Ethereum. So I don't know. Maybe
Swift got it right. We need a settlement period.
Yeah. Well, even 24 hours. I think with these bridges, 24 hours is probably the right way to go. Maybe and maybe that's the risk, right? If you're putting your funds into these instant availability bridges, maybe that's just the risk that you're taking, that if they're gone, right?
Yeah. Well, be careful, people, if you're using bridges. Just know that this is a risk, and even if you end up okay, the other kind of existential risk that happens with this is just if you're on a bridge that or if you're on a chain that heavily depends on these bridges, it could be the death sentence for the entire chain.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me Phantom is one of the biggest victims of this entire thing. The Phantom chain as we know it had already been badly hobbled by Andre Cronje leaving. I think a number of funds are just tied up in this, and I'd be really sad if anyone kept a significant portion of their net worth on Phantom.
Yeah, I think this whole thing really affects the way Phantom itself is perceived, because it's I don't know, the main network that's connected to multi-chain, at least it seems. So definitely, I'm sure that it makes many people, maybe it's a multi-chain issue, but it affects the amount of people that want to use Phantom as well, in my opinion. Because things are identified together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What about CZ's role in all of this? Have you been following Binance and what they've been doing with multi-chain?
I've been kind of following other stuff with Binance actually, because I see that so many people from their management are starting to leave because of all kinds of rumors. But
can we come back to the Phantom Foundation actually, because I wanted to talk about them. So I think there is just a broad, I don't want to say complicity, because nobody wants to see this money stolen, but the Phantom Foundation knew what was going on with multi-chain last month when we reported about this, and yet they did nothing during that time period to reduce their exposure in light of all this. They didn't tell any of their users to remove funds from multi-chain. They didn't reassess their relationship with the protocol. And here we are a month later, the Phantom Foundation is really that Phantom is really harmed by this. And it sucks. It sucks to see.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that one.
It's just a really weird timing, right? They could have switched. Phantom could have switched to another bridge like Layer 0. After the whole reports about the CEO gone missing, no access to private keys, there was a lot of Phantom assets at risk, and they could have moved them out, and they didn't. And now there's a huge amount of money that's gone.
Yeah, definitely. They want like I think it's just like you say it. Does a specific network do enough in order to protect its TVL and its users? It's a huge deal, and I agree with you, Sam. They weren't 100% prepared, and I think it affects the way they will be perceived.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's a failure on the Phantom Foundation's part to continue that relationship with multi-chain for this past month, when they could have moved to, at least they could have like de-risked a bit. Sad.
I agree.
So yeah, you want to talk about Binance? What's Binance's role in all this?
Well, I just there have been some questions, and I don't think like we even have all the answers to it just yet. But there'd been some like question about like if Binance, like my understanding was they were moving off of multi-chain, but they weren't scheduled to be off until tomorrow. So if this was a hack, this was like, it seems to have been like precisely targeted to do so before like Binance had completely cleared all the exposure to it. So just really weird timing. And as DeFi Advisor was saying, this comes amid just a whole like panoply of other like stuff going on around Binance in terms of executives quitting, which some people are saying is part of the DOJ investigation. CZ, of course, is saying fake news. Just they're leaving to spend more time like with their family. I still have no idea what's going on with Binance.
Yeah, so several key executives have left in the past few days since the announcement of the SEC investigation and DOJ investigation into Binance. This would be General Counsel Huan Ning, Chief Strategy Officer Patrick Hillman, and Senior Vice President for Compliance Stephen Christie. So it was reported in some news outlets that they resigned due to disagreements over CEO CZ's handling of the investigations. And all these compliance officers, I mean, it's just strange when all the compliance officers leave, right? Like, because there's like rumors of an impending DOJ investigation, and it's just a little strange. So, Steve Christie came out with this big tweet about, let me pull this up, about how like he's tired and he's fat and he's just gotten to the point where he doesn't want to work anymore, and it was just time to leave. And this was posted on his Twitter. I want to pull this up right now. He essentially said like he just wanted to spend more time with his wife and kids, right? He's been in crypto for 7 years. And
who in crypto is wife and kids, right?
I know, exactly.
Everyone's
hopefully
everyone's a virgin e-girl anime PFP.
So first reply, actually, top reply to his post was Sam actually doing the same speech, right? Essentially like, I've been in crypto for a long time, thrilled to be a part of it. It's time to go. So
yeah, and it's also
interesting parallels.
It's also so similar to what Patrick Hillman himself wrote on his own tweet. So in a way, it's kind of, I don't know, so many suspicious stuff. And Garrett, what you've said about the relation between Binance and Phantom and Multichain and what happened, like they just finished selling, you said, a lot of their position over there?
I'll see if I can pull that up.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's crazy. Like I don't know, everything just fits too well or too bad on a timeline perspective. That I don't know. I thought I wasn't expecting this, to be honest.
Yeah. So essentially, he came out and said like, apologies for the typos. I'm sad to be leaving, but I'm doing it on good terms. And he continues to respect and support CZ. He's been for 2 years, and he said it's just in time to move on to his next challenge.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's time for them to move, both of them or three of them, to move on to the same challenge and to the next challenge.
Children,
yeah,
right?
yeah, kind of weird.
So we can put on our conspiracy hats. Conspiracy.
Yeah, already on.
Already on.
Do Kwon named his child Luna. Think he's gonna name the kid that's about to be born something like TUSD or something?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Yeah, so it's just all a bit strange. Very strange. There are no coincidences. Speaking of TUSD, we talked about TrueUSD, what, last week, 2 weeks ago, about the Prime Trust exposure. Again, very strange. Conspiracy hats. Conspiracy. Yeah. Let's put on conspiracy hat time.
Foilcast. Tinfoil cast.
Here we go. So Binance now holds almost 90% of all TrueUSD, following a spike of more than $2 billion that was moved into the exchange. So with the circulating supply just above $3 billion, Binance holds nearly $2.7 billion. And this was shown by data according to DeFi Llama. So TrueUSD is issued by San Francisco-based Archblock. It's the 5th largest stablecoin and the only major dollar-pegged stablecoin to have grown in market capitalization in 2023. And this is because of Binance. So Binance swapped from USDT and USDC into TUSD for increased trading volumes, and they moved all of their free trading pairs to TUSD. But TUSD has come under scrutiny for its association with Prime Trust, Nevada-based custodian that recently collapsed, causing concerns about the stablecoin's backing. So the TrueUSD auditors claim that there's only $26,000 of exposure at Prime Trust, and Prime Trust continues to claim that people can still deposit and mint TrueUSD through its other banking partners, but there's a lot of questions.
Who would touch it? Honestly? Yeah. Who in the right minds are currently gonna use these platforms and services and tell himself, okay, yeah, all cool, yeah, it's probably gonna work, no problem. I don't know how you take that decision, honestly.
Who knows? I mean, Binance could just be looking for a new stablecoin, right? Let's say they're having issues. They're under a lot of pressure right now, all around the world, globally. They're going after their banking services. They're going after pretty much everything that they have to kind of cut them off from whatever sort of fiat connections that they have. And TrueUSD came out and threw them a lifeline, and they threw a couple of $1 billion into it. So maybe there is some conspiracy here. Maybe there's not. I think that in crypto land, we should tend to lean toward conspiracy until proven otherwise.
I mean, the rumors. Are we allowed to do, since it's tinfoil cast? The rumors sound pretty bad, right? The rumors are that the Binance is helping money launder for Hamas. I mean, if that's the case, that could be prison time, right?
JAILCAST. Prison cast. Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
this is getting to be JAILCAST, but I have no idea about that, by the way, and I don't see it I'm not even looking at it at that deep on such a conspiracy level that is so political. I'm just I don't know, BUSD seemed so stable. If we only go back a year ago or something like that, I would not have imagined that Binance can be under any kind of problems or attack, whether that's called for or uncalled for, whether it's just or unjust. Yet currently, I have to say that things are not looking that great, and I definitely do hope that Binance will survive this, and I do hope that they are good guys, like I first initially thought, at least.
CZ's hilarious too. He's just so funny. I kind of want him to win, right?
Yeah. And
also, random. Yeah.
Never
Crypto Worm. Crypto Worm. I have a question. Since I'm sitting here in Barcelona, does this mean I can register a Binance account while I'm here?
Borrow somebody's passport. Yes. Actually, don't do.
I'm gonna try and do that.
Don't do that.
It says I can get 100 USDT trading fee rebate if I register. Let me go through this.
You can find a friend at ETH Barcelona, and
Yeah.
Well, everybody's coming under fire. Yesterday, it was announced that the feds, we're doing FedCast now. So the feds raided the House.
We gotta get different logos for these when we do prison cast overlay, FedCast overlay.
We should have like different kind of signs or symbols on the screen. It will be kind of effects, special effects.
I like talking about DeFi, but these are like major news stories. So Jesse Powell, this is a strange one actually. So Jesse Powell, the founder of Kraken, had his house raided for apparently accusations of hacking and cyber stalking a nonprofit organization he helped establish, the Verge Center of the Arts. According to the New York Times, the investigation alleges that Powell interfered with Verge's computer accounts, disrupting access to emails and other communications. So the FBI came to Powell's house in Los Angeles, did a search, seized a bunch of electronic devices. He's not been charged with any crimes. He asserts he has rightful access to the email accounts as board members of the organization. And so he alleges that he did nothing wrong. But a little strange that the FBI is kicking down Jesse Powell's house, like under these pretexts, right? Because once they I don't want to say steal, but once they take all that data into their possession, if they find other crimes, well, that's fair game.
And the plus side, he might now be the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination.
Right. Yeah, right. I don't think so. I wouldn't vote for Jesse Powell. Jesse's great, but I don't want him to be my president. The only person I want to be president is John McAfee, but RIP. RIP.
Now, since it's tinfoil cast, John McAfee faked his death, right?
Good guess.
Yes.
Might still be able to pull it off. Anyway, no. It's so weird. Like, 5 minutes ago, I was like on the side of the feds with regard to all the North Korea hacking and everything, and then they do something like this. Like, I actually like Jesse Powell. Like, I find him to be like a stand-up character. Like, I don't know. I think this. I guess I need to wait and see what the receipts are. Like, maybe there is something like behind this, but this just seems like odious.
I'm very wary of these sorts of like FBI investigations, especially now that we know that the FBI is a politicized entity inside the United States. We just need Haim here to like counteract my like tinfoil hat.
Okay, let me do my best.
No,
oh come on.
Yeah, there's no Rex here. Like,
this is what I want them to do. If they're doing something terrible, we should know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it.
This is a step towards cleaning up our space.
It doesn't, like these rants don't really feel like right without Rex here.
So they're not as balanced without Rex and his perspective on stuff. Because again, in my opinion, and also I like Jesse a lot. I've spoken about it even here in the past. I don't know, like it seems like the authorities are really trying to scare like people, guys. Just it's again, we're not sure that they're not sure that Jesse even did something or whatever there, but the FBI is raiding his house. Like that's a scare tactic. You know what I mean? That's just like don't mess with us. And I think that a lot of what's going on very different scales and like with Binance and whatever, I don't know. There's a lot of that, in my opinion. Just these are like power games. Like, we're the strong. We can do whatever. We can search your house. We can make life difficult for you. Don't mess with us. I'm getting that vibe throughout this year, more and more.
Weaponized DOJ.
The thing that's so weird about it though is he'd already been playing ball, right? Like, he just settled with the SEC, was it, or the CFTC, about the Kraken trading stuff. Like, it seems like weird to kind of kick him in this way while he seems to have been like, jumping through the hoops.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. I'm deeply concerned about all of this.
By the way, is anyone also anything Coinbase related?
No.
No.
Coinbase has an army of lawyers. Like Kraken is just like a smaller fish, and so they can't protect themselves. Other people, don't worry, we're almost done with JAILCAST. We got a couple more things. So Barnbridge came out. Okay, so a single lawyer, Doug Park, came onto the Barnbridge DAO and said that they're under investigation by the SEC. Can't tell about anything, can't like make any information public, but he just wanted to say about that there is an investigation. They're going to close existing liquidity pools. No more liquidity pools should be started, and that all work on Barnbridge related products should stop, and individuals should no longer be compensated for any work they do related to Barnbridge until further notice. Additionally, the two founders, I'm guessing Tyler Ward and Troy Murray, will not be able to comment on the investigation because the SEC ban hammer is coming down. Oh, and then Tyler commented below that it was real.
I don't think there's a lot public about this, but back in 2021, wasn't it the case that they basically like cashed out massively, like turning $2 into $200, buying mansions and whatnot? Maybe this is just like that's what someone that I generally trust on this subject mentioned. So like this might if that's the case, this might actually be like something there. Who knows?
What was their token? Or
was it Bond? BOND?
Yeah, it was Bond, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So I think this one's probably God, I don't even know.
Like I can't imagine a reason that they would go after this for like the optics, right? Like a major project that is going to make headlines just because they're like take it like it's not like a Coinbase, right?
Actually talked to someone about that yesterday. Maybe it was Eason on our newsroom, and I told them that because when they choose such small actors and go after them, it's another thing. It's another case of scare tactics, because it's like you think you're just a small builder and that no one cares about you and you can do whatever you want. No. We're going to target some of you guys, and then you're all going to be like nervous about, but what if they do that because they did to Barnbridge? And I think that's a whole, that's the other side of this scaring tactics.
See, I don't get that. I don't get that read from it though. Like from what I can tell, it's like maybe there was actually something to it. It's just the problem is the SEC's credibility is so shot that no one actually could actually believe that the SEC might go after something legitimate.
I don't know. I'm sure they did something that the SEC doesn't like. Like if you're going to start it, let me give some advice for crypto founders. If you're going to start a project, you need to be able to like disassociate yourself as fast as possible from the project within the first like year to 2 years. Right. And at some point you just need to like walk away, or at least like turn it over to the point where you no longer have control over everything, and there's like plausible deniability that like maybe you don't even own any tokens anymore. I don't know. Like fully cash out, but get gone, write some immutable code and just get it out there, because it's much harder to go after code that can't be stopped unless the government literally has to write a white paper saying that we should just burn Curve to the ground, right? So it can no longer function.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the ideal, but like, to extend the Curve analogy, like how much value has Curve gotten out of Mitch continuing to like release new new contracts for it after the fact, right? Like Frax V1 was great, but you kind of need continued iteration as improvements to really bring the protocol to life.
Sure. I don't deny that, but there's nothing that Mitch can do now about Curve itself. Like those tokens are locked. Like the protocol is out there. There's like zero anything that can happen. So I don't know. Just stay safe out there.
True. And also I think that it shows again that if you're a founder at the moment and you're from the US or in the US, honestly, you better find, it seems like you better find other alternatives because it's like, man, in the US, they can come after you. Like if you're a US citizen or if you're US related, if you do the wrong thing over there, man, you're going to have a lot of problems. So maybe you should just work a lot on where you should set up your entity and how, just to be as compliant as you can, and basically to protect the founders. And by the way, I think it will also just increase the amount of devs that want to go full anon, like completely with minimum contact to the community. Because people will just want to protect themselves and keep coding. That's what these devs like doing.
Be anonymous, remain anonymous, hire lawyers. There we go. It's the only way to go forward. Okay. I think we're done. Are we done with JAILCAST? We're done with JAILCAST. Hooray!
Woo!
JAILCAST is done. It's fucking depressing.
Seriously.
Okay, let's talk about some real shit. Okay. Hidden Hand V2 has launched. I asked Sammy to come on today, but he didn't get back to me. You got an open invitation to come. Hidden Hand V2 is launching. It's going to offer range bribes, limit bribes. Range bribes allow users to set a specific reward rate per vote, providing better control over bribe spending. Limit bribes or fill or kill orders let users set a maximum amount of tokens per vote, offering refunds if the deposited bribes aren't fully used. They're also adding a yield harvester feature as an opt-in reward vault that consolidates gas costs for claiming various bribe tokens and then converting them to like a single target token like ETH. It makes it more really cost effective for people who don't want to receive small bribe payouts in various tokens. Like I would do some bribing with some of the tokens that I have, but like the gas costs to like assign my votes in Ethereum just doesn't make sense. So this is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Really excited to see this.
Also
a very long anticipated product, by the way. I remember that we started hearing about the Hidden Hand and like this bribing market. It was over a year and a half ago, at least the way I see it. So it will definitely be interesting to see, like, how much traction this new product gets, and like how it fits in with the other products in the market. We should definitely have Sammy on.
Yeah, definitely. And they're also announcing that they're going to be adding support for Arbitrum, Polygon ZK EVM, alongside support for Ethereum and Optimism, where they are now. So the platform is going to be launching new partner markets for Pendle, Premia, Aura on Arbitrum, and also Camelot as well too. So very cool, very cool.
It's actually going to be exciting because I do think that Redacted is very connected within the DeFi ecosystem and space. So I do think that they can create they can move fast. I think they can attract a lot of TVL and a lot of usage pretty quickly. And I do see that, at least online, I see it on Twitter, that people are expecting Dinero, the stablecoin. Like many people see it as a very promising new stablecoin, especially with the current stablecoin landscape, which is not that stable.
Well, every protocol, every large protocol should have their own stablecoin. That's my belief. So, in other news, Gnosis Pay, so a payment solution connected to Gnosis Chain, is expected to launch and continue the evolution of the Gnosis ecosystem. So this is connected with Gnosis Safe, which spun out from the Gnosis DAO. I'm going to say Gnosis a lot here. In 2022, and Safe has $39 billion worth of assets, and with estimates showing that the value of all the ERC20 tokens in Safe accounts to about $58 billion. So recently, Safe partnered with stablecoin issuer Monerium to provide on and off-chain euro payment capabilities. And we talked about this on the show, but Gnosis Pay is also going to be a part of this, so you can connect your Safe to that, and it's going to feature credit or debit cards, something like that, and there is going to be a card, so you'll be able to use your safes for Gnosis Pay.
Yeah, it seems like the specific details are murky, but they are going to be. The rumor is that they're timing it for ETHCC, which is going to be just like a little over a week. So hang tight. And it's a good time to remind everyone that if you'd like to, you can donate to Leviathan. We have a safe on Arbitrum. We include the link in every show notes, and then maybe we'll be able to flash one of these cards. And right now we can spend something like the $300 we have in there in the real world.
Yeah. Leviathan is getting into real world assets.
Yeah, dollars. Yeah, hopefully at some point.
Mas dinero.
Yeah, I know. So let's talk about. You want to talk about stablecoins, or you want to talk about NFTs? And then, so we got two more stories, and then we're going to talk about Arthur Hayes. So NFT perp, this like AMM for NFTs is sunsetting their V1 model for V2. Apparently, there was some like internal errors with liquidation, and they had some bad debt at the end. So what they said is that all users' margin ETH is going to be returned it should be returned by now, right? Meaning that nobody's going to lose their initial collateral or margin. And then people who have negative unrealized P&L, their unrealized losses are going to be waived. And they're going to receive their full margin back. And those who have positive P&L, they will receive their margin back plus their unrealized P&L pro rata to a share of VN FTP tokens. I'm sure there's more to this. Did you guys check into this? I read the Twitter thing. There must be more to the story that we don't know. If somebody wants to come on and talk about this, we'd like to hear, because I think we're just touching the surface. Additionally, Toki and Noble, two Asian companies. Toki's a bridge, and Noble is a token issuance protocol, or like a stablecoin issuer. They're going to be collaborating with Progmat, which is a project by Japanese largest bank Mitsubishi, UFJ Trust and Banking, to bring fully collateralized Japanese stablecoins to the Cosmos ecosystem. That's a strange one. Like, why not come to ETH first? Why are they going to Cosmos?
Maybe because of the app chain approach that Cosmos has. Like, I don't know. It seems like entities that want like a more centralized control over whatever they're doing. Seems like they're choosing, they're not necessarily choosing ETH, but honestly, this is just my very uneducated perspective on how I see this kind of stuff.
I don't know. Like, it's just like, why would they go to Cosmos? Why not come to ETH first, where all the demand is? Do people use stablecoins on Cosmos? Yes, I understand that's the answer, but like, is there demand for that? I just don't understand why they would go to Cosmos.
I also don't understand that.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's tricky because, like, at the same time, like, China's also making big moves, trying to push their digital yuan. But like, generally speaking, like, they're having a tough time getting user adoption in the first place. So good question, like how you actually get a CBDC off the ground and get people using it. Not this is CBDC, but
yeah. So Japan just recently enacted a stablecoin law, which came into effect on June 1st, and it allowed for stablecoin issuance, but they had to be like pegged to the yen or some other legal tender. So stablecoins utilizing this like new law are expected to be issued in like early 2024. But I don't know. Like, it's just strange. Like, Circle's going to be issuing a Japanese stablecoin soon, but why Cosmos? That's my question.
Maybe it's easier for them to experiment over there in like a closed circuit instead of if it's on ETH. Maybe other people can do all kinds of stuff with it, and they have less control over it.
Maybe it's just their infrastructure team, or like whatever sort of like dev team that they have likes Cosmos or something.
Does Cosmos have biz devs actually?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It might be that. I remember trying to do business in Japan once, and like the business culture there is very old school, right? Like, it's very much like you have to meet, you have to go in person, you have to exchange business cards. Like, maybe it's those old-fashioned touches.
Yeah. Do you find it strange that non-dollar stablecoins just don't really get used in DeFi?
A little bit, to be honest. To the extent that it seems like there should be thriving Forex markets. Like, the Forex markets are huge, and I see no reason why like they haven't taken off within DeFi yet.
Yeah, but mostly it's for like with DeFi at the moment, this stuff will mostly be for speculation, correct? Because I think it doesn't really catch yet. Like I mean that people don't really use other kinds of stable coins on DeFi, because honestly, even though we like around the world we use all kinds of different currencies, like if it's global business, it's pretty much usually done in dollars. So I think there's not that much demand until there will be like all kinds of services. For example, if Genosis Pay, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, if now we can have a truly like decentralized credit card that we can start paying with, I'm sure that this kind of stuff will increase the demand for like a euro stable coin or stuff like that, like immensely.
It's just a little strange. I would assume that they would come to ETH and Curve first, but whatever. I must be out of the loop. Okay, going back to JAILCAST first, because this just came up on the timeline when I was checking some things. The law firm that is doing the FTX bankruptcy has a shed ton of associates, first-year associates, working on the case, and they're charging $775 an hour for that service. So here I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like at least over 10 or 12, maybe 13 associates, $775 an hour, billing like hundreds of hours.
Yeah, they're extracting. This is like minor extractable value, but on the on the real life aspect of stuff, because they're gonna drain hundreds of millions of dollars out of this whole story because they're the one closest to the plate. They can actually do it. This money will not like fully reach its like lawful owners and be repaid for the investors and because lawyers are involved, and many of them will do what they do best for themselves and not for others. And I'm not saying it to offend lawyers wherever they are. I'm just saying this.
$200 million in fees. $200 million in fees.
Yeah, like $200 million. How is that even possible, man? The court hasn't even tried.
I mean, JAILCAST is like depressing. It is really depressing.
Imagine the amount of liquidity you can add to the system with $200 million, and instead people are just pocketing that money because they know how to.
Let's talk about it. I need some hopium in my veins. So Arthur Hayes came out with a article called Masa, and it's going to be a 3-part series where he's looking into different questions about like just about the macro or life in general, right? So
why is it called Masa, by the way? What is it called?
Because his thing is that are we going to create? So he goes down the okay. So he goes down the communist, the utopian communist idea that like AI essentially makes all the bullshit that we have to do as humans obsolete. Nobody has to work hard anymore, so we just get to be like creative. Like I don't even know. We get to throw off the chains of our struggling existence and engage with our creative self on a day-to-day basis. So he says that to my end, my hope is that artificial intelligence and robotics will be used primarily to eliminate the tedious bullshit work in which most of our humanity currently toils, so that more and more people can pursue their passions in a similar fashion. It's a very like communist line. It doesn't really work out that way. And so the next question is like, will AI overtake us feeble humans and become humanity's master slaver, or do we hit that communist utopia? And so he writes these 3 articles, right? The first one of which is Bitcoin will be the currency of AIs. There's 2 more coming, the DAO and the DEX, how AI is changing the meaning of for-profit enterprises, and the shitcoin that will benefit the most from AI's data desires. So to like get into his article, he essentially talks about like why he thinks Bitcoin will be the currency used by AI. And the main reason is that he thinks that like AIs themselves need some sort of digital payment system. So if you think that here's a computer entity that's going to be available at all times, right? Completely automated. And he says that like traditional banking systems are not like suitable for this because they're not 24/7 and they're segmented across geographies. And that a blockchain system is ideal because it allows for clearing and transparent rules, constant availability, and censorship resistance. So like with the AI stuff, like he says that like AI's primary inputs are like data and computer power or like electricity, right? So it needs both electricity to function, power to function, and then also data as well too. It has to be fed constant amounts of data, constant amounts of electricity. And so he says that the currency it uses should retain its energy purchasing power over time, aka Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is a representative of pure energy. So Hayes compared Bitcoin and he looked at like gold and money and fiat, kind of looked at them, and he says that Bitcoin, unlike gold and the other and like dirty dollars, has a finite supply. It can be only created by consuming electricity, and it's censorship resistant, which makes it the best for AI. So he thinks that like it could become the primary currency for AI, and that it would have significant impact on Bitcoin's price. He has some pretty charts down here at the bottom. Where does this thing go? So he has some pretty charts down here that talk about like where the BTC price could go based on its use in the AI economy. Bull case is up to $700,000 per BTC. And he has some other charts in here as well too. So interesting read.
Does he get into why he thinks it's going to be BTC and not ETH? Because like, isn't the natural bet that if there's going to be something that's going to benefit from AI, it's going to be ETH?
I think his argument is that like it has to be a proof of work coin, because I think we talked about this a while back that where I think at some point you could probably you could do some like mixed mining between like the AI and Bitcoin. So it kind of moves into one, right? The Bitcoin consensus layer moves in with the AI production. They both use GPUs. And so it's like a natural habitat for them both to be there. So he doesn't really, he doesn't mention ETH. I think his thing is that it has to be proof of work.
Yeah, I mean, there's some argument to it. I think I'm with DeFi Advisor. I think that it's more natural that it speaks code pretty well. So maybe it uses ETH to get more Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I do want to take a look at the first answer, first like comment, and he says that after this whole thing, it's like censorship resistant check, scarcity check. But why would an AI based on pure logic choose a system that directly competes for their food, in Arthur's words? So he's like, AI's got to eat. They need like untold amounts of like GPUs and electricity, but Bitcoin needs the same thing as well too. So he says that an AI requires two critical resources to exist and persist: data and compute power, but AI needs the same thing. So why would AI choose a currency that would be self-destructive to their own existence in some regards? It's quite like a zero-sum argument, but oh, and then he shills Nano at the end. Okay, bad. Like everything was great about. I didn't see that Nano show. I would have skipped that comment actually had I seen that Nano show. Bad, like ruined everything. Okay, let's forget that. That was a terrible thing, and move on. Breaking news. What happened, Garrett? You just dropped this in chat. What happened?
So this is coming from FinTech Frank, which I think is supposed to be a credible source, which is Gemini has filed lawsuit against Digital Currency Group and Barry Silbert.
Great.
So
ads. I block every ad in Twitter. Gemini files lawsuit.
Not on Thread.
We're talking about more courts and legal stuff than smart contracts. The DeFi reality
JAILCAST.
that we're actually seeing.
JAILCAST. Yeah.
Well, they did publish that letter the other day saying, hey, give us our money back or let's talk. And they did nothing. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So Cameron Winklevoss says, today, Gemini filed lawsuit against DCG and Barry Silbert personally in New York court. Barry was not only the architect and mastermind of the DCG and Genesis fraud against creditors, he was directly and personally involved in perpetuating it. So he's like, the complaint tells the whole story, but let's start here. Yada, yada, yada. Goes through the whole thing. Yeah. Lawsuits.
This can be FTX level stuff, no? Like these are huge entities.
Yeah, there was some stuff that happened. It's all tied to the Grayscale trade, and like we talked about yesterday, it's all Grayscale at the bottom. Grayscale, on the other hand, I just want to bring this chart up again. We talked about this yesterday. Still seeing rise in its discount, so it's now up to 26%. So yesterday I believe it was at like 30 when we reported on this at the beginning of the week, and now it's at 25 almost. So the gap between the Grayscale discount and potentially what's going to be coming for the ETF is closing rapidly. So I think that investors believe that the Grayscale is going to be converted into an ETF, and they're buying Bitcoin on the cheap.
Wow. That's going to be honestly very exciting. Do you guys think that there's any chance that this will be like eventually the first ETF after all, and not BlackRock's?
I don't know. I think the probability of the price, like if it was 100% yes, the price would have closed already, but it's still sitting at a 25% discount. So, I think it's a 50-50 probably, because the upside is like what you're going up to 0, or the downside is going back down to 50. So yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, man, we need Haim for today. I felt like it's all one-sided. We're all in agreement here. Rex needs to come back.
Definitely. Hopefully next week we'll all be more available.
No, I was just all hyped up for some discussions, and we just all agree. Everybody's going to jail, and the feds are bad. So, okay.
Yeah. We have different views on their motivations for sure than Rex is usually. Yet, you know what? My guess is that we're gonna have these kinds of issues next week as well. Like these stories won't entirely go away till next week.
The definition of madness. We keep doing the same thing every single day in crypto.
So today
today
is Friday, and this means, wait, do we have a stream coming up at 12:30? Insert Finance is coming on later today, so tune into that.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be talking with them and trying to know more about what Insert does. So accessible NFT alpha apparently was what we're talking about. So come back. We'll see you then. Take off tinfoil hats. Woo! Touch some grass this weekend.
Let's go. Let's try to.
Bye-bye.